Welcome back to Little Steps Live. My name is Natasha. Happy New Year. Today we've got our first Facebook Live for 2020 and we'll be talking about a very popular subject with Little Steps, which is education. So a few friendly reminders before we get started. We do go live every 2 weeks. And if you would like a reminder about our upcoming events, please go to our Facebook page. Go onto the events section and click on the events that you're interested in, and you'll get a reminder sent to your phone. And then we do have a weekly newsletter, which is jam-packed full of really useful information. It covers everything that you need to know about your city. If you would like to subscribe for this, there's a link in the description page there. They go out across all our regions: Hong Kong, Singapore, Jakarta, and KL. And is must-have. So please do subscribe to these newsletters for us. And lastly, if you've got any questions or any feedback or any comments at all, then send them our way. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear all your feedback. Great. So let's get started. Today we're going to learn a little bit more about the top education trends and school news in this year's first Facebook Live. We will dive into find everything about the latest new international schools, the 2020 trends in the classroom, and navigating the application and the interview system, because we know that's quite tough. There's a lot of schools. How do we go about all of this? So we're very happy to welcome school consultant and education expert Anne Murphy from ITS Hong Kong, and we will dive into the top trends in Hong Kong's education scene and discuss a lot of frequent questions that you might have around applications or challenges, and of course new schools opening in Hong Kong, because we know there's lots of new schools opening. So Anne,
thank you.
Hello. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and ITS before we dive into the hot topics?
Well, ITS Education Asia was established in 2005. We have 2 tutorial schools, one in Mongkok and one in Central, just down the road in Sheung Wan. And we offer online learning services also for GCSE and A-level students, because we are a BTEC accredited centre. We offer educational pathways and consultancy services for students from pre-kindergarten to university level. I oversee the education services for Asia, so we help families who are seeking the right pathway, the right fit school for their children in Hong Kong, Singapore, Shanghai, Beijing, Malaysia, Thailand. We assist with gaining access to these schools and making sure that the child is admitted to the right school.
Okay, great.
So it's a boutique educational service, really.
Fantastic.
Where we make sure that each child's pathway is carved out at the early stages, and that we assist with the entrance exams and tests and university planning also.
So great wealth of knowledge, right?
Yes.
Okay, so today we'll be splitting up the chat into 4 sections. We'll look at the trends in new offerings, then trends in curriculum, and then fees and debenture trends, and trends in Hong Kong as an education hub. Are you ready? So let's look at the trends in new offerings for new schools. So we've got a fair few new international schools in Hong Kong.
We have. Yeah.
And can you give us a scoop on new schools and new campuses?
Well, I think if we go back to, we look back at say 2016, 2017, 2018, and even last year, a lot of new schools opened. We had American International School, Hong Kong. We've had Stanford American School, which is a part of the Cognita Education Group. We had Shrewsbury International School, Malvern College, which opened up also 2 preschools. Last year alone, we had Wickham Abbey. These are very well-known schools, also Wickham Abbey, Shrewsbury, and Malvern from the UK. They're British-based schools. They offer the British, Malvern College offers the International Baccalaureate program. It's a true trained school, so they have their preschool and they go up to IB diploma level. And again, a school like Shrewsbury offering the British education system,
Right.
and Wickham Abbey also offering the British education system. So these schools have their, they're coming from their sister schools in their main schools. They're opening up branches in Hong Kong, and they're offering true train education.
Right.
And they're growing organically from year to year, offering 2 to 3 classes per grade. Even next year, Malvern College will go up to year 1, as Shrewsbury is already full up to year 6, and Wickham Abbey is growing up to years 5 and 6 and 7. These schools have opened up because there has been such a demand by local families and families moving in, expatriate families, for international education. And schools, large education groups like North Anglia Education Group and Cognita have seen the development with the education here and the needs for international education. So this is why these schools have come into Hong Kong, and they're in high demand, and they have become very, very popular. They're offering international baccalaureate programs, they're offering British education systems, but they're also offering something very different and unique in their own way.
Right.
You know, a school like Wickham Abbey, although it's offering the British, the English national curriculum, it's also offering a very strong Mandarin program.
Yes, yes.
So they're looking to see what the niche is, and they're evolving in education, and they are, you know, they're trying to offer something that's very special within their own school. So I guess the choices have become quite wide and extensive, and there are more choices now for parents. And at the end of the day, I think, you know, all the other schools that have been here before, they're all very, very well established, very, very popular. They're sought after schools, but their seats are full.
Yes.
You know, so there is a need for other schools here in Hong Kong, and good schools, and we've seen that trend. They've opened and they've developed very, very well.
Yeah, yeah, okay. And outside of these new schools opening, what do you feel is still lacking in Hong Kong? Do you see this getting addressed anytime soon?
Goodness, how long do we
Big
have?
question. Yeah, we've got hours.
I suppose, you know, when you look at inclusion school, inclusive schools are very important these days, and there are many inclusive schools in Hong Kong. I'm not taking away from what's already here. And inclusiveness not just comes now with special educational needs. Before, that's what, you know, many parents thought an exclusive school means that a child with special education needs was accepted. But that's just not the case. You know, there are many schools that are offering alternative programs, even for gifted children. You know, so I feel that inclusiveness within schools is very important to cater to all learners. And special education needs, unfortunately, is still an issue that we're facing here, that we don't have enough resources. That the schools here are not able to offer the highest number of students to places as they could, you know. And so I feel that, you know, it takes a village to raise a child, and unfortunately that's a very true saying for kids who have additional needs. So I feel that is something that that needs to be addressed here, because it is often the case with clients that we've had down through the years, that if their children are receiving very, very you know, unique services and have the resources where they are in their existing home country, they tend not to move here if they're not able to get into the right school. But I mean, schools like the Harbour School, Island Christian Academy, Hong Kong Academy, Australia International School, International College Hong Kong, all of these schools, they're offering inclusiveness. But, you know, they can't offer
for everybody.
For everyone.
Or
so
everyone
they have, So I feel that would be something that, you know, we need to address here, and that hopefully that in the future that schools that open up can see that, you know, there needs to be more of that inclusiveness. Because in other countries around Asia, I mean, they say we're an inclusive school. So, you know, the norm is, it's different. We have to offer students different pathways now for learning. You know, it's not the case that one curriculum fits all.
No, of course.
You know,
everybody's different.
Everyone's different. All children come in all shapes and sizes.
Yes.
But the schools are evolving. You know, their programs are, and they're doing exceptionally well, and they're providing as much, you know, alternative learning plans. You know, teachers are collaborating, and they're working together to make sure that there's individualized teaching approaches. You know.
So that kind of leads into our third question. So in regards to education offerings for parents, say compared 5 years ago, how has Hong Kong changed as an educational hub in Asia? Do you think it's becoming a bit more, listens to the parents more? And
definitely. I mean, even if you look at all the programs that are being developed in all the schools, I mean, STEAM, STEM, schools like Stanford American School, Canadian International School, you know, as they say, future learning for future education. Schools like Hong Kong International School, you know, International College Hong Kong, again, North Anglia International School, they've developed maker spaces and
Right.
innovative learning labs.
Yes, yes.
So that's what's changing here.
Right.
And the education has evolved where that schools, educators are catering to students for tomorrow's world.
Right.
You know,
Yes.
we can't envision
No.
or imagine what it's going to be like,
Right.
but we do know the technology is going to be involved. And that it's no longer going to be knowledge-based learning, it's
Mm.
going to be skills-based learning.
Right. Fair enough, yes.
And schools that are offering forest school programs, you know, outdoor learning programs, you know, schools that are inviting in, that have collaborations with universities from around the world,
Yes.
like MIT,
MIT, yeah.
and Stanford. That's what they are bringing into the classes. So that's what's evolved here, you know. And also I think other schools have also seen that there's a big demand for Mandarin learning, for
Yes,
Chinese.
of course, yes.
And parents get very excited that it's just, you know, they can attend a school where it's daily Chinese instead of 2 or 3 times a
Yes.
week. It doesn't have to be purely bilingual, 50% Mandarin
Right.
and 50% English, but they do know that their child's going to get a high level of Chinese.
Yes. Yeah.
And parents are looking for that, you
And
know.
of course, you're paying fees as well. You need, you
Yeah,
want the
and
right
it's
education.
one of the most important languages in the world.
Yes, it is.
So,
It is. Yeah.
you know, and schools are developing extensive language programs for
Mm.
that reason. You know, even a school like Stanford American School offering Spanish and English.
Yes.
And also a bilingual program.
Yes.
ESF always offered strong Mandarin classes. And, you know, there's bilingual schools in Hong Kong like IMS,
Yeah.
International Montessori
Yes.
School, which is also an inclusive school.
Yes.
But offers a remarkable
Mm.
Montessori curriculum, but a bilingual education. And children can go there from 2 years of age up until year 6, from 12. So
Plenty of choice.
there is plenty of
Yeah.
choice, yes. And so I see that that's what schools are doing. They are moving along with the times and
Right.
education, and the teachers are, and that's very important.
Right. Exactly. Okay. So thank you for joining today. We are splitting into 4 areas of focus today. So we've just looked at trends in new offerings. Now we'll move on to trends into curriculum. Then we'll look at fees and adventure trends and trends in Hong Kong as an education hub. So moving on to trends in curriculum, we've seen a lot of hype around popular curriculums, but also surge in new curriculums. So you mentioned inclusion schools in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
Can you give us an insight into new curriculum trends you're seeing, apart from, is there anything else that we need to be aware of in inclusion schools?
I think inclusion schools, I mean, early childhood education,
Right.
there's many programs.
Yes.
You know, we've Montessori,
Reggio, yeah.
Reggio Emilia, there's Waldorf.
Yes.
And there's a wide range of choices for
Mm.
parents. So I see a lot more schools opening up with different types of early childhood approaches.
Right,
And again, not one curriculum fits all.
right.
So they're integrating different types of the best practices for early childhood. So I see a trend in that for the preschools. As I said earlier, I think it's not just the new curriculum that's being involved.
Mm.
I mean, there's a range of curricula, but it's the programs, the
Mm.
add-ons,
Yes, yeah.
which have become very important in schools, which parents are recognising and are choosing schools for that reason. At the end of the day, I often say to our clients and to, you know, during the talks that I give, it's not down to the curriculum that you choose when your child is, say, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8. You know, it's down to the school.
Right.
What is the school offering?
Yes, as a package.
As a package.
Yes.
And, you know, I often can take clients around to new schools and they get concerned about external exam results because they don't have it yet,
Right.
or it's just only been open 2 or
Yeah.
3 years. But what I make them aware of is to look at what the school is offering, not just the curriculum, but the other programs.
Right.
Maybe the one-to-one music classes,
Mm.
you know, the extensive language programs, the STEM,
Yes.
the innovative learning
What
programs.
makes the school stand out?
What
Yeah.
makes the school stand out, and also what it can provide for your child right now
Right.
in their
In the current
current
state.
education
Yeah,
that they're
okay.
in and
Yes.
the current
I
grade
agree.
that they're in.
Yeah.
They're going to change at secondary.
Mm.
They're going to acquire new skills, they're going to have new talent, new interests.
Right.
They mightn't be academically focused, they might be creative.
Yes,
You know,
exactly.
they might be into language and arts.
Yes.
You know,
Or
chil-
music or-
everything.
yeah,
Yeah, so
schools.
that's what to look at is what the way, I suppose, to position your child is in school now and education, and then move on with the school. You
Right.
don't have to
because you choose a school at 5 for
Yes.
primary, your child doesn't have to graduate from that
No,
school.
no, you can move on, and we've
You
got
can
plenty of
move on.
choice.
We
Yes.
have. And so I feel that going back to curriculum, it's not just the curriculum, it's the programs that they're offering from
Right.
grade to grade.
Okay.
And they're moving with the students and seeing what it's even down to the high school programs, you know. Not all schools are offering A levels, not all schools are offering IB diploma.
Right. Yeah.
Some are offering, you know, for Australia International School, you can do the New South Wales High School Diploma instead of the IB diploma.
Okay.
At ESF schools, you can do the IB career-related
Yes,
program,
I've heard about
or
that.
you can do
Yep.
BTEC.
Yep. Yep.
So again, there's options.
Okay.
So if it's not the right fit at a particular stage of your child's education, you can move.
Right.
It happens.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you kind of answered 2 questions in one, because I was
I'm
going to
off the
ask
hook.
you what are parents' primary concerns, but yeah, I think you've answered that. So we can move on. So we're focusing on 4 areas. We've looked at trends in new offerings, we've looked at trends in curriculum, and now we'll touch on the big topic of fees, because we know it's so expensive in Hong Kong, and that is one of the main concerns from a lot of parents. Like, you know, how do you choose a school? They're so expensive. So
Yeah.
costs, it's one of the hottest things, isn't it? What are you seeing in Hong Kong as trends in costs for schooling?
Well, it's a major consideration when you are choosing schools.
Right.
But you would be surprised to hear that Hong Kong's not the most expensive
Really?
country.
No.
For schools, not even in Asia. I mean,
Wow.
Singapore is much
Yes,
higher.
okay.
China is the most expensive.
Right, okay.
Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, much more expensive than
Right.
Hong Kong.
Oh, amazing.
But in the world, of course, I mean, you know, UK schools,
Right.
Switzerland,
Yeah.
these schools are much more expensive. But I mean, the increase in fees is happening. It happens everywhere, and it can happen from say 4 to 10% every year.
Mm.
I think it was the Fry's Group, or maybe Expat Finder, did some research over the last few years, and they looked at the cost of school fees and how much it would cost to send your child to school for 12 years at a top school in Hong
A
Kong.
kidney and a liver?
2.7 million.
Whoa! And I've got 3 kids, so.
Yeah. Yeah, so over a 12-year span, that's what it is, 2.7 million.
Right, okay.
But, you know, it's not just the annual fees.
Right.
It's the capital levies, it's the entrance fees,
Right.
it's the...
School uniform.
You have to stump up for so
bus
much.
fees, yeah.
You know, and it's not just bus fee for, you know, one-off, it's
Yeah.
per term.
Yes.
And that's in no control of the school because that's external.
Right.
But it is the down payments and the non-refundable fees. But the Education Bureau control and say yes or no to the fees that schools can increase every year.
Right.
But there is a financial arrangement then with the school about capital levies and the debentures and, you know, the entry fees that they charge. But I think it was only yesterday that the SCMP brought out that the Education Bureau is looking into this now.
Yes. Yeah.
So I think that's going to change in the
Yes.
future. And I mean, if you look at schools like Singapore, there's no debentures. There's no capital levies. There's an entry fee and there is an annual fee, but it's still much higher than Hong Kong.
Right.
But I mean, at the end of the day, I think parents do have to consider not just the annual fee. It's how much, when I get that offer, how much do I need to pay? Do I need to pay 38,000? Do I need to pay 450,000?
Right.
And it's having that money ready to
Yes.
secure that spot.
Yeah.
And you can't take that money out while your child's in the school.
No.
You know, and a lot of companies aren't providing that financial support
Right.
anymore. So schools, like affordable schools, going back to one of your questions earlier, I think there is a need for more affordable
Right,
schools
exactly.
in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
Especially for expatriates who want to remain here, but they are in local packages and they're not getting those benefits
Yes.
anymore because companies aren't providing them. Those days are gone, unfortunately. And like a school like Invictus, which is opening up in Hong Kong, they have come into the market and they're affordable fees. There are other affordable schools in Hong Kong. I'm not saying that there isn't. Like Langtao International School is
Yes.
quite affordable. Discovery Mind Primary School, but Victus saw that there is a niche for more affordable schools. Like they opened first in Singapore in 2016, and they're full.
Yes.
You know,
Really good school.
very good,
Yeah.
and they're doing very well.
Yeah.
And here, I think that they will also succeed because parents will be able to afford the school.
Right.
you know, and also, you know, they don't have, like other schools have, like that cutoff for passports.
Mm.
And a lot of schools are facing that issue because when they get the land from the government,
Right, yeah.
and they build on the school,
Mm.
they have to have 80% foreign passport holders.
Right. Yeah.
And so Hong Kong families can afford to go to those schools, but they can't unfortunately accept them
Yeah.
because they have to have 20% cut off.
Yeah.
So a difference licensing makes a difference for the schools.
Right.
So, yeah, so unfortunately it's expensive, but not compared to other
No.
countries around the world.
So I'm not sure if we can touch on the fact that we had some forms come in from the government recently, for my school anyway, to say that they're going to let us have 2,000 money
That's
off
right,
the fee.
yeah.
Is that something that we can touch on?
I wonder I don't know when that, yeah, that,
for
if you,
in February.
you had
yeah.
to get the applications
Yeah.
last week, yeah. That is good.
Yes. Every little bit helps.
It does.
Yeah.
Especially when you have 2 and 3 children going to school.
Right.
So yeah, I think that the applications were released for that last week, and you can apply. And I think it's a $2,000
$2,500
discount.
Yeah.
which is great.
Something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's great because when the schools were shut down the last few months during the political
Yes.
unrest in Hong Kong, I think families were quite upset. They still had to pay the full school fees for that month.
Mm.
And maybe that 2,000 extra has
Will help.
will make a difference. Yeah.
I agree. Great. Okay. So, want to touch on the last topic, which
Mhm.
is trends in Hong Kong as an education hub. So we're hearing a lot of parents want to make the decision between moving between Hong Kong to Singapore. And in your opinion, what would you say is Hong Kong's education? How is it different to say what Singapore is offering at the moment?
I don't think there is a huge difference. I mean, there is international schools here, and they're very successful, and they provide a great education. And there are international schools in Singapore.
Yes.
They are much larger campuses because
Yeah.
they have much bigger
Space. Yeah.
I see that families are moving here, moving out of Hong Kong because of the political unrest. The sense of safety isn't there, their kids traveling to school, and they're worried. And so we have seen ourselves about a 50 to 60% increase in inquiries and families moving down
Yeah.
to Singapore. And it's not just Singapore, they're looking at Thailand, they're looking at Malaysia,
Right.
and they're repatriating back home.
Right.
And I don't feel that there's a big difference in all the schools. I think the facilities are different
Right.
because they have bigger space. They all offer the British curriculum, or they'll offer the IB, or they'll offer, you know, an American curriculum.
Yes.
And again, alternative pathways and progressive learning, and they're inclusive schools. So I feel that a lot of it is just because that sense of insecurity,
Right.
you know, and Singapore is not too far from Hong Kong.
No.
Another issue that I have often heard from parents over the last year, not even even before all of this political unrest, was the pollution.
Yes. Oh,
You
yeah,
know,
right.
pollution
Yeah.
has caused issues with health, and you know, schools shut down for 2 or 3 weeks every year for the past 2 years because of the flu epidemic. So
yeah, you're right.
yeah, so parents are getting concerned in a way, and they're looking at moving to where it's healthier
Yes.
for them to live, and that might be Koh Samui, where they have British schools,
Right.
and it's cheaper for parents to live there.
Okay.
You know,
Great, and we see a lot more schools opening in Singapore as well.
we do, and the good thing about it, if you are part of, say, a large educational group, like say whether it be Cognita, or even if you go to Invictus here, or
Yes.
whether it be a North Anglia Education group
Yes.
school, you have that privilege, and you can move into their schools in
Yes.
Singapore or else around the world.
As long as there's a space.
As long as there's a space.
Yeah.
And even if you look at schools like Shrewsbury and Malvern, you know, Shrewsbury recently acquired a new school over the summer.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I forget the name now. But again, they are allowing they are allowing for you to go into the for year 7 prep
Right.
boarding.
Oh, okay.
So that connection is there. So that's one thing that parents can look at if they're going to Shrewsbury International School. For Malvern, you know, they have Malvern Prep School,
Preschool,
and
yeah.
Malvern College in the UK.
Yes.
So I can see that if parents are within these schools
Yes.
and those education group owned schools, that they have that privilege of moving out.
Yes.
and that transition into another school, and it's easy.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's beneficial for them,
Yeah.
and they make use of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So apart from pollution and sorry, what was the other challenge you said? There was pollution,
The political unrest.
political unrest.
The rioting.
Yeah, the big thing
Have
going
you
on.
seen that?
So any other challenges? Not that these are big ones, but yeah.
Special educational needs, going back to that again.
Right.
I don't want to focus too much on it, but there
No.
are more schools in Singapore that offer
Right.
additional learning needs,
Mhm.
and they are more inclusive.
Mhm.
North Anglia International School is Dover Court there,
Yes.
and they there's many other schools down there that will offer the resources.
Yes.
They have the provisions that children need.
Mm.
So, often I can see not even just recently, but down through the years,
Mm.
we've had clients where they've been able to make a decision.
Mm.
So if their child needs any additional support and they can't get into the schools here,
Mhm.
or the schools that they want aren't able to accommodate the child, then they do look at Singapore for that
Okay.
reason.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
You've got to do what's best for you.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so before we head off, we want to check in with any of our viewers. Sorry, if you've got any questions at all for us. Anybody? So we have got one question here. I'm super keen on making sure my child gets Mandarin support. Are there specific schools I should look at?
Well,
In your opinion?
there are many schools
Yeah.
offering strong Chinese programs.
Fine.
I feel that you have to consider what level of Chinese learning you want, how intensive you want it. Do you want it to be bilingual?
Right.
Because if you want it to be bilingual, you've got 50% Mandarin, 50% English. Then you look at schools like International Montessori School, you look at ISF Academy,
Right, yeah.
Victoria, Shanghai, Singapore,
Mm.
American Youth Chong. So when you look at these schools, that's a very strong Mandarin focus
Mm.
daily. But then a school like Wickham Abbey is offering also an inclusive immersion program where there is a very strong focus on Chinese. Even a school like Canadian International School offers strong Chinese program. So I think it's available. All schools are offering it. They offer daily Mandarin. There's after school classes.
Yes.
They're
ECAs.
they're all doing that,
Mm.
but they're doing it to a different level.
Right.
So what you need to know is find out how many hours per day,
Right.
how many hours per week,
Mhm.
what is the homework policy, the level do they stream,
Mm.
and then you can decide.
Mm.
So it definitely is possible,
Okay.
from the age of 8 months and up,
Mhm.
and a lot of students here are taking Mandarin as a second language for their IB diploma.
Right.
So the education is very strong in Chinese here.
Yes. Okay, thank you for your time today.
Thank
Is
you
there
for
anything
having me.
else you want
I
to?
don't think
Any
so.
other comments or anything? You're okay?
I'm good.
Yes, great. And just to finish off, we do have our school news EDM, Little Step School News EDM going out next week. Monday is for Hong Kong, Wednesday is for Singapore, and these are jam-packed full of lots of information about school open days, new offerings, and just the Little Steps feedback within schools. And on the 27th, we will be sending out our Singapore Schools EDM to the Hong Kong market. So if you are keen on understanding what Singapore can offer for you, please take a look at our EDM. To sign up for the EDMs, please look at the link in the description and you can subscribe through there. Brilliant. And
Thank
over and
you.
out. Thank you.